Hello everybody, and welcome back once again to Gazagoji YT. And yes,
I'm back.
and in more ways than one, as besides coming back to my YouTube channel, I am also back for the third part of Diablosaurus Titanus versus the Great Hybrid War. Now, in case you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, I highly recommend that you click off this video and go watch them now. As for those who did watch them, let's not waste any more time and get straight to the carnage. Starting off strong, our first contender is Barbara 2.0, rightfully named Armatis regina, given that she's arguably the Armatis gigantes of Ceratopsians, with a genome of only 4 genetic contributors consisting of Eotriceratops for the base build, Anodontosaurus for osteoderms and tail weapon, Apatosaurus for all the typical sauropod perks, and African grey parrot for increased intelligence as well as a sharper beak. Now this one is arguably one of the most formidable Ceratopsian hybrids that Iblis has gone up against as of now. But just like its fellow comrades that have preceded her during the previous episodes, Iblis can keep her at bay using its forelimbs, with a powerful strike to the head causing her a mild concussion, allowing Iblis to quickly swoop in and knock her out of balance, taking her down with a stomp or a bite to the neck. Next up is Pseudosaurus osteophagus, one of my top candidates for winning the Great Hybrid Tournament by Valis Dreadmere. This cool looking turtle-like Glyptodon hybrid is built like an absolute fortress, being comparable height and lengthwise to a fully grown adult Tyrannosaurus Rex, while weighing in at a whopping 18.5 tons. With a large, broad, and muscular torso protected by a highly durable shell and an incredibly strong spine, all carried by 4 short, stout limbs that are incredibly thick and strong, allowing Pseudosaurus to effectively shrug off most attacks from large megafauna hybrids while having some very solid offensive capabilities for crippling and taking down these big boys, including its spiky tail club, as well as its powerful forelimbs which can strike with lightning speed and a gnarly bite. Now, this fight won't be easy for my hybrid, given that Pseudosaurus' low center of gravity puts it outside of Iblis' growing range, while its stable frame, powerful defenses, and strong spine allow it to easily shrug off his stomps, tramples, and claw strikes. However, Iblis still has some very major advantages in this fight. For one, he is the larger of the two and by a solid margin. Couple that with its more muscular frame, this grants my hybrid the strength it needs to flip over Pseudosaurus in a powerful charge. Couple that with the fact that while Pseudosaurus is surprisingly fast and agile for an animal of its size and build, Iblis still has the upper hand in both of these categories. And couple that with the fact that the bone-eating false reptile king here has some rather poor reach with its weapons, this should allow Iblis to quite easily outflank it without running the risk of getting injured, flipping over the tank and exposing its unarmored body parts for those powerful chompers of his. Up next we have Draconator Aurum, another top candidate of mine for winning the Great Hybrid Tournament by Valis Dreadmere. This 20-ton crocodiliform hybrid is basically Dilthy Prime's more functional offspring that's still very deadly, with an incredibly jacked up body build, strong forelimbs, and a devastating bite that Iblis better be careful of, coupled with heightened intelligence, superb stamina, and decent locomotive capacity to keep up with my hybrid in a 1v1 fight. However, Iblis' significant size advantage, coupled with its stronger defense, allow it to shrug off its opponent's attacks more than the other way around, especially considering that Iblis has greater reach with some very deadly weapons of its own that can quite easily shred through Aurum's thick hide and osteoderms, securing a victory very easily. The next opponent my hybrid will have to go up against is Mina, arguably one of the most popular submissions to the Great Hybrid Tournament. And while I don't think she's the absolute best Proboscidean hybrid to be submitted, she's definitely up there as one of the best, given her simple yet effective genome with the Paleoloxodon body plan, protected by quills, subdermal osteoderms, and thick cartilaginous plates that cover different parts of her body, coupled with its 4 large tusks that are coated with iron, allowing Mina to manipulate and skewer any smaller opponents, except that in this case, she's the smaller opponent, as Iblis is bigger, stronger, and more mobile, which allows him to overpower her and outflank her, one-shotting her with its powerful horns, her thick skin and cartilaginous plating proving as insufficient armor against such an attack. Now let's move on to the second half of this bracket, starting with Bloke, a 22-ton biological battering ram of a rhino boasting an insanely muscular frame while still surpassing my hybrid in terms of mobility, with very thick skin protected by armadillo scutes and porcupine quills for defense, as well as strong jaws and 2 sets of horns for offense, one for piercing and one for defending its neck. The second set also including a highly ossified boss for dealing immense blunt force trauma. Now, luckily for Iblis, Bloke is way too short for him to leverage that boss in order to counter my hybrid's horns. But at the same time, this does mean that Iblis cannot gore him to death with his powerful horns due to the fact that he's out of their range, which boils down this fight to two possible scenarios with very similar outcomes. The first scenario is that Bloke tries to target Iblis from the front, in which case Iblis's powerful forelimbs can help concuss Bloke with a powerful strike to the head, granting Iblis the window it requires to sweep in for the kill with a powerful bite to the neck. Its protective oral tissue from the giraffe allowing it to be unaffected by the porcupine quills. As for the second scenario, it revolves around Bloke trying to target Iblis from the flanks using its superior speed and agility, in which case the Thagomizer would come into play in a similar way to how it was deployed against Alvar, dealing a significantly dangerous wound that could incapacitate Bloke due to the sheer amount of pain, granting Iblis the window it needs to sweep in for the kill once again with a powerful bite to the neck, or potentially a stomp, but most likely a bite to the neck. Now onto the actual most powerful Ceratopsian hybrid that Iblis has went up against as of now, Ultimaceratops robustus, which ironically enough ended up causing another Pi Kamikaze situation to break out due to how similar it is to my hybrid despite having a drastically different genome, as both of these two are comparable to each other height and lengthwise, boast very strong armor, and a large set of weapons front to back. However, Iblis does seem to boast a slight advantage in all of these categories, with a 2.5 ton weight advantage, more extensive armor that's coated in iron for added protection, as well as larger jaws which can take out bigger chunks out of their opponent than the other way around, as well as more optimized dentition for crushing through armor and bone alike, coupled with its more flexible tail that allows it to land its Thagomizer blows more effectively. Not to mention that Iblis has more flexible joints, which grant him greater agility over Ultimaceratops despite the latter being arguably faster, which means that it might have the slight upper hand in a ramming contest if these two lock horns with each other, but Iblis can quite easily turn the tides of the battle by relying on its additional assets, such as its forelimbs, to damage the unarmored body part in Ultimaceratops using those sharp claws, as well as concussing it with a powerful strike to the head, its powerful jaws for targeting the neck or crippling the legs, as well as its powerful horns in tandem with its superior agility for flanking Ultimaceratops and one-shotting it with a powerful gore penetrating through the gaps of the Psychania armor. Now we have gotten onto sauropod territory, starting with Everest by Metriogenetics from YouTube. Now this sauropod hybrid is truly formidable, but in comparison to other sauropod hybrids that Iblis has went up against in previous episodes, this guy is nothing new and can be easily taken down with a powerful gore to the torso or to the neck. And now the final boss, ladies and gentlemen, meet Alatrix by Sean Kelly. This 70-ton sauropod hybrid, despite being weaker than Everest, was picked as the final boss for this episode courtesy of its special ability that allows him to fare much better against Iblis than Everest does, that being its sonic attack. By utilizing the genes of the white bellbird, Alatrix gains the ability to leverage loud vocalizations to stun and disorient my hybrid during combat, preventing him from locking in 100%. And thus, it can capitalize on this by utilizing its powerful tail weapon from Stegoros to severely damage, if not outright kill Iblis, by targeting the head or its vital organs, all while chicken earplugs prevent Alatrix from being affected by its own attack. And so, Iblis will be struggling greatly against this sauropod. However, had it been smaller, it likely would have been killed by the sonic attack altogether. Now you might be wondering, why is this important? Well, that's because Iblis would be capable of enduring the sonic attack by Alatrix long enough for him to figure out that the source of his attack comes from the throat. And in response, Iblis will be charging at full speed towards the neck, goring Alatrix and one-shotting him and ending his cascade of loud noises. And so, the titanic saurian devil lives to see another day. And with that, we conclude the third part of Diablosaurus Titanus versus the Great Hybrid War. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more hybrid content. And as always, thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.